Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So this is Angular CRUD series and it is a part 4 video. In this video we are going to do update operation and previously we did create operation, right, by adding the create form. So here if you observe, I forgot one thing. I forgot to add a button in the home page so that on clicking that button we have to navigate to the add component, right? So I forgot that. So let me add a button here on the home page. Home page means our all superheroes component, right? So go to all superheroes component.html. Let me add a new div, okay, and class. Okay, and here I want to add a link for navigating to the uh, our add superheroes component. Okay, to add all superheroes component, I am going to use anchor tag. Okay, so to this anchor tag, I can use router link add. Okay, so this is attribute from Angular, and let's label the anchor element like add. Okay, and let's check. See here, we are getting the anchor tag here. If I click, I am smoothly navigating to my add component. But I want this add component as a button. Okay. So for that, you can go to Angular Material website and you can go to the buttons component. From here, we can copy one of the attributes of the button. Okay. Something like this matte raised button, and I want primary color. Copy this one. Okay. And add it on the anchor tag directly. Okay. So if we go to website, see, now we are getting nice button effect. And let me add some styling. Okay, go to all superheroes component.css. Here, let me add a class like add container. Okay, lar box, add box. Okay, and here let's give display flex and some justify content center. Okay, and margin 5 pixels top and bottom and 0 pixels left and right. So let's copy this class and add to our div element. Okay, save here as well. Now check. See, now button is nicely centered. Now if I click on add, it's going to the add button. Okay, so this is the logic I forgot in the previous, okay, create operation. Okay, now let's move to our actual operation, that is update operation. So for update operation, that means we are going to create the edit form. So let's create a new component just like add superheroes component. Okay. So go to terminal. So ng generate component. Okay. And I want to create this new component just like other components in the superheroes folder. Okay. Superheroes. And I want to specify the name of the component. So I will name it like edit superheroes. Okay, I don't want any test files. Okay, if tests. Okay, so the final our command is like this. So run it. And here you can see some Angular logs, that is like components, edit component files created. So if I look into the folder structure of my project, I can see the my new component got created, that is edit superheroes. Okay, so now what I will do, let me configure the route for the new component. So go to app routing module. Okay, and here let me add one more route object. Okay, so path I'm going to give edit and component, our new component, edit component, superheroes component. Okay, that is my route. Okay, if at all, if I try to access like edit, see, I'm getting this text from the edit component HTML. That means my routing configuration is done. So for edit, we have to create two endpoints. Why two endpoint means whenever we go to our edit form, first we have to populate the form which record we want to edit, right? So that means we have to invoke the HTTP get call by ID value. Okay. And another endpoint that is normal update endpoint, which is a HTTP put endpoint. Okay. First, let's define both in our service file. Okay. So go to service file, superhero service file. First, let me create a endpoint get by ID. Okay. So get by ID. So it's going to have an input parameter like ID value, which API, which record must be fetched. Okay. And if you go to the JSON server documentation, there you can find it also supports item, particular item by its ID value we can fetch. Okay. Same API we are going to invoke here. Okay. So for that, so it is also going to return observable of single superheroes. Okay. Superheroes. So here we are going to call the HTTP get that going to return superheroes, single superhero, and the just the API call. Now the URL must contains dynamic value, right? ID value should be passed like this URL, right? So for that, what you can do, I can use backticks to generate the dynamic URL. So add backticks and copy the same URL, okay? And it should be end with the ID value, okay? So to add the dynamic value, you can use a dollar and flower brackets. And inside of it, you can specify your variable like ID, okay? So this is the get by ID endpoint, okay? So let's populate this, okay? Later we are going to implement the update operation. Okay, so for that, first let's populate, create a form in our edit superheroes component.html file. Okay, so edit form is almost similar to our add form. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy the HTML content or some of the code content from the add superheroes component. So open edit component.html, okay, and open add superheroes component.html. Okay, now what I will do, I am going to fetch all the data, HTML data, and add in the edit component. So let me do some changes here. Okay, so it is like update heading must be changed. Okay, so here I have to create a form variable. Okay, and I have to create a new update method here. Okay, and anything else I can change here. Here change the button name to update. Okay, so here first let's work on this add superheroes form. Okay, so here that will be like update superheroes form variable. Okay, for that what I will do, I'm going to open edit component.ts file and add component.ts file. Okay, so here is the add superheroes variable, right? So here form group is created from the form builder. That means first I have to inject the form builder in the edit component. So add the constructor here, okay, and add the form builder. Okay, so now I can copy this object and add it here, but I will name it like update superhero form. Okay, so in edit form we have a form fields like name, image URL, and franchise, right? For update we have to store ID value also. because for updating we have to pass the ID value as well. Okay, so ID will be empty. Okay, so now here let's add a method to invoke the. So here we have to replace the this update so perform hero variable. Okay, and let's create a update method for now, a empty method. Okay, update. Okay, and add this method in our HTML. Okay, okay, good. Now let's create a method to call the uh, our get by ID API call. Okay, so get by ID. Okay, and here we have to inject the service, and in the HTML file here also change the variable name at the preview section. Okay, forgot to do here. Okay, and here no image preview, that is missing, so copy that value as well from the TS file. Okay, so add it in the edit TS file. Okay, and now HTML is good. Now get back to our TS file and let's work on the get by ID method. So it will have input parameter like ID, and it's going to call this dot superhero service. Sorry, so superhero. Okay, I haven't injected the service here. So let me inject the superhero service. Superheroes service. Okay, superheroes. Okay, use that service now to invoke the API call. This dot superhero service. Okay, let's properly name it. Dot get by ID. Okay, and pass the ID value and subscribe to the response. So response it's going to return single uh, superhero record based on the ID value. Okay, so that data must be assigned to this form variable so that that will be read by the form. Okay, to assign the data to the form. Okay, I can use one of the method like set value. So this dot update form dot set. Okay, set value. Okay, this is the react to form method. So this set value means we have to update entire object. Okay, full update of the form. If you want to update only few fields at the time, you have to use a patch value. Okay, since here I am going to update entire form, I am going to use the set value. Okay, and simply pass the response data as a input to it. It will automatically updates. Okay, so but how I can get this ID value? This ID value generally we are going to maintain in the URL. Okay, so if you go to app routing module.ts, here I simply added it, right? But I want to add dynamic value, which is the ID you want to update. So to represent the dynamic data, I can use colon and ID. So ID is the dynamic value placeholder. Okay, it must be prefixed with the colon. Okay, so now I have to read this value. Okay, so to read this value in the edit component.ts file, we can use Angular router service. Okay. So here we have to inject one more service in the constructor, that is private route activated route. Okay. So now let's implement on init. Okay. So ng on init, that is our lifecycle method, right? So whenever the component renders, we want to populate the form. In that case, ng on it must invoke our get by ID API call. So here only we are going to read our ID value from the route as well. Okay, so here this dot route dot para map. Okay, it's going to read the dynamic values from the URL. Okay, so para. So here we have to read. So let ID equal to number, and I can use para dot get dot. We have to specify the placeholder name. So if you specify the placeholder name here, route play dynamic value placeholder, it's going to get the value, whatever value in that placeholder. So here our placeholder value is ID, right? So copy that ID string and add it here. Okay. Now I got the ID value, so I can invoke the get by ID method. Okay, by passing to. So let's check whether we are able to populate the record or not. Sorry, update form or not. Okay, so let's go like edit slash one. First record I want to edit. See, I am getting the form with updated value, but styling is missing, right? That is because we copied the HTML, but we didn't copy the CSS. So go to edit component.cs file and go to add component.cs file. So copy all the styles and paste it over here and save, and let's check. See, now form is nicely arranged and data is updated. So if you check network call, okay, and go to XHR tab, and if you refresh again, remove mobile view, and now if I refresh, and if I go to network call, here is the API call, get by ID API call. Okay, see the dynamic value dynamically preparing. From the route, we are taking the ID value. Okay, so if I change the ID value, record will be changed. The update form 2 and 3. Okay, like that it is updating. So now here we are directly navigating right in the URL. Instead of like that, what I will do, I am going to add a edit button on every item. Okay, so for that, go to our all components.html file. Okay, so all components.html. So here is the mad content, right? Below it, I want some buttons. So if I go to Angular material cards, examples, there is a like and share button, right? Like that I want. So here, if I go here, there is a one more section like mat card actions. So copy that actions, okay, and add it here. Okay, here I want edit button, right? So let me remove one button. But instead of a button, I want to use a anchor tag. Just like add how we used, I want to use anchor tag. So copy the anchor tag, but I want to display it as a button. So for that I can use matrix button attribute. Okay. And here value will be dynamic, right? For each card, edit hyphen ID, edit slash ID value, edit slash ID value must be displayed, right? So here dynamic value. To generate the dynamic route, we have to enclose this router link in the square brackets that represent dynamic content. Okay, and here I can specify like a array. First parameter will be the normal string. So normal string means here our edit is there, right? So open single quotes, because already externally we are using double quotes, right? That is why internally we have to use single quotes. So slash edit, normal path will be the first parameter and comma, and we can specify n number of dynamic parameters. Since I have only one dynamic parameter, right, ID, so I am going to pass the ID as the second parameter in the array. That's it. It will dynamically generates the edit button URL. I will show you. Okay, now save and check. See, we got edit button on every page. If I inspect this edit button, See here, edit link, how it is generated, actual href, edit/1. So if we click on this button, see, we are navigating to the edit component. Okay. So now let's work on this update button. Currently it is nothing, right? Empty method. So first we have to work on update API call. To go to JSON server, update API call is this one, put. Okay. So let's go to first our service file. Let's create a method like update. Okay. And update must contains the payload, form payload, okay, of superheroes. Okay. And return this dot http put, okay, http put, and first parameter will be the dynamic route because put it should pass the id value. Okay, so what I can do, I can use as it is this url. So but id value we are going to get from our payload, so payload dot id. And in the second parameter we have to pass the entire payload object. Okay, this is the API call logic. Now we have to invoke this logic in our edit component update method. Here we have created one dummy update method, right? Here we have to call. So this dot superheroes dot update. Okay, it should pass the payload, right? Payload is our update form. So update superheroes form dot value I can pass, and it should be a superhero type. And in the subscribe, once successfully updated, I want to navigate back to the home page. So to navigate back to home page, we have to use our Angular service like router. Okay, so here in the subscribe, this dot router dot navigate, and in the array we have to specify our home page path, that is simple slash. Okay, so let's check the update. Okay, let's get back here. Okay, let's reload the page again. Let's try to update this item. Let's update this like Spider-Man 2. So if I click on update, so let me clear the network calls first. If I click on update button, see, title is changed. That means data is successfully updated. If you check the network calls, here you can see the put request, which means update method. And if you check the payload, this is the payload we are sending. Okay, so that means we are successfully implement the update operation. Next we are going to implement the delete operation. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video delivered some useful content to you all. If you like the video, please do support by subscribing to the channel, and please don't forget to like and share the video. Soon we are going to meet with new content. Until then, signing off.